So my name's Julie Brown. I'm a consultant systematic reviewer with Covidence, and I'm based over in New Zealand. I've got probably 23 years experience of writing and preparing systematic reviews in both the academic and the commercial sector. For those of you who may not be too familiar with Covidence, we're a not-for-profit organization, and we're here to help you streamline the systematic all the way through to when you first line up and start your review, through the screening process, data extraction, and getting that data ready for you to export fully, analyze it. We've got an amazing support team in the background to help you from the technical perspective, but I would say the community team who are out there answering your questions as you send them in. We have the world's largest review community with over 650,000 users around. What we are and what we're not. So Covidence is a cloud-based software. There's nothing to download, there's no version control to worry about. We're not just the platform to help you write systematic reviews. So we're not just a tool to help you write the review, prepare the review. The tool also helps you from a management perspective as well. So it gives you lots of resources on oversight of the whole review process. And it allows you to screen studies, to bring in the PDFs when you get to full text stage. You're able to extract data, and you can track the workflow of your reviews through the Prisma flow diagram. So what we're not is we're not a reference manager. So we're not in no tools Zotero. We're not a database. So we're not PubMed. You can't search externally from Covidence, and you can't perform any statistical analyses within the platform. What we are really good at, we're really good at collaboration. So when we're doing research, that's what's really important from an academic perspective, that you're able to collaborate with colleagues. And the really nice thing about collaborating within Covidence here is that Western Sydney University have an unlimited organizational account. So what that means is that when you sign up for the organization, you're able to access an unlimited number of reviews that you're able to create. So you simply need to go to the library page, locate the systematic reviews and Covidence and link, and you'll be able to, here we go, you'll be able to join. You can also access Covidence via the Covidence website. So if you go to our website, you're able to go to the knowledge base. And from there, you can type in Western Sydney University. And again, you've got all the information that you need there to be able to join the account. So when you have gone through that process, what you find is that you'll get a page like this asking for your name and email address. Pop those in. That sends off a request for you to be able to join the organizational account, and then you'll be all signed in. You can also access Covidence by going to our web page and clicking on the free trial button. So what this is, it's also quite useful when you do this sometimes, because once you've created a personal Covidence account, it makes it much easier for the support team to be able to link you if you have any difficulties along the line. So that's another option. So there are several options that are available for you. There are quite a few questions come through to the library regarding when people look at their profile, they can see here their billing and plan, and they sometimes get this unlimited plan. Sometimes people see a free trial. So I just want to explain to you that if you do see the free trial up there, don't panic. As long as you can see that your organization is Western Sydney University, you're absolutely fine. It's just a reflection of the way that you signed up, and whether you signed up directly through the university link or whether you signed up through the free trial plan. So as long as you can see the organization name there, no problems at all. So in terms of the collaboration, so what's really important here is that you can have an unlimited number of co-reviewers with your organizational plan. They can be from anywhere. They can be from within the university. They can be from the UK, anywhere at all. Okay. So this is this is what's so important with collaboration. And there is no cost to your co-reviewers. The only requirement is that they create Covidence accounts so that they can access your review.
Excuse me, Lee. Sorry, Julie.
Yeah.
On that point, I oftentimes get a lot of inquiries for people saying we're working with someone from X university, but they don't have access to Covidence.
Yeah.
And they'll ask me, and I've heard different responses from different people. So if you're working with Professor Y at X university, but they don't have institutional access, can they still come onto your project?
Absolutely.
So how do they do it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So that's a great question. So if you're working with someone in a different organization and they're not part of Western Sydney, how can they get access? So if you're inviting someone to your review, you just need to go, I can't demonstrate it because of not being able to access the internet, but you basically need to go to the review summary page, to the settings, to the reviewers tab, and that will take you to this page that you can see on the screen now. Click on the invite another reviewer, pop in that person's name and email address, whichever institution they're in, and send the invitation. Once they've accepted that invitation and set up a personal Covidence account if they need one, they'll have access to your review. They'll be able to do any of the screening or data extraction that's required of them, and they don't need to be a member of this university's Covidence account. So if you have any problems signing up or signing in, then feel free to contact the support team. Sometimes what you find is that when you send out invitations, usually because of university firewalls, the invitations expire immediately, which is a little bit frustrating. So just send them again, send the invitation again, or contact the support team and we'll be able to help you. The invitations that get sent out last for 30 days normally, so it gives people plenty of time to sign up and join your review. Other issues with signing in are sometimes that you find you've misspelt your email when you signed up, so it doesn't seem to work. So that's an easy one to remedy from our end. Sometimes we recommend that people can add multiple email addresses to their Covidence account. So that means that you can be working in different organizations or a personal email. You can have those all, keep them all central in your Covidence account. But sometimes people forget which was their primary email for signing in, and there is only one primary email. So if you're having difficulties, then sometimes it's due to that. The other issues people have with signing into Covidence is that they have added more than one person to their Covidence account. So that's a no. Every individual should have their own account because there is only one primary sign-in. If you have any problems inviting people, again, just contact the support team. Again, if something isn't working, contact the support team. And if you're not sure about a task or a process, then I recommend that you go to our knowledge base first of all, and you can access the knowledge base from every page of the platform and from the website. And the knowledge base is a great resource. It's broken down into individual sections about how to set up your review, invite reviewers, all of the tasks around screening and data extraction. The documents in there usually have screenshots or videos embedded in them, so they're really easy to follow. And if you still have a problem, then the support team will be there to help you. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that Covidence is kind of leading in that helps the whole review process. Rather than go through the platform stage by stage. So I thought it was really nice to be able to share with you some of the kind of the key features that are going to help you get through your review really quickly and efficiently. So Covidence is a leader in automation and systematic reviews, but leadership is more than just being the first to the top. It's a lot about trust as well. So there are lots of tools out there that tell you that they're going to be able to write a systematic review for you, but you've got to be able to trust them. They've got to be accurate. And so we're aiming to get to that top of the mountain with automated systematic reviews, but the path we're following is one of accuracy. So that's the path that we're going to take rather than what might be the quickest path. And we're investing a lot of time and effort in making sure that anything that we release is going to be of high quality and accuracy. So our core principles are around being accurate, about being trustworthy, and about being transparent. So whenever we produce something that involves AI or any kind of machine learning or automation, you'll always be able to find out what we're doing on the knowledge base, just so that you can see exactly what processes or tools are being used. We're also working really closely with some of the big organizations in systematic reviews, so with Cochrane and with the Campbell collaboration, working around tools to do with AI and the production of systematic reviews. So what are we doing about automating systematic reviews right now? And these things I'm going to go through with you now are just going to speed up your review process really quite significantly. So we've got a randomized controlled trial classifier. We can auto-remove non-randomized controlled trials. We've got active learning in title and abstract screening, and we've already got some semi-automated data extraction. So in terms of the randomized controlled trial classifier, so what we're using the Cochrane randomized controlled classifier. And what that does is when you import your references, it adds tags to each abstract as to whether it believes that trial, whether that study is a randomized controlled trial or not a randomized controlled trial. And that tool's been trained on 280,000 records, and it's got a super high sensitivity. Now, what's important to Covidence is that the human remains in the loop and that you always stay in control. So any studies that we add those tags to, you can always track and follow. Now, that automated tool about removing non-randomized controlled trials, what that does if you select that is that it will remove all of the studies that were tagged as non-randomized controlled trials, and it will do that before the screening process starts. Now, that will remove about a quarter of the ineligible studies in your review, and these processes are going to save you around about 45% of screening time as a whole within the platform. Now, this randomized controlled trial classifier is only available if you're working on a medical and health sciences systematic review. And when you set up your review, you'll be able to select that as a feature. You can switch it on and off at any time. So if you don't want it there, you're welcome to turn it off. And those studies that are automatically removed don't disappear. Okay, so they're put in a specific section, and you're always able to check them and verify that they are definitely not randomized trials. The other thing that Covidence does for you is it puts all of that information into the Prisma figure, the flow diagram for you, so you don't have to worry about that. and it separates them out nicely into whether they were studies were removed by automation tools or manually. And that's really important in reporting and is a requirement by a lot of the reporting guidelines that you clearly identify where you've used automation tools.
Excuse me, Julie, sorry, I'm just asking questions because I sometimes get asked from people in the university. People have oftentimes asked me, can you, instead of exporting from all your database searches into EndNote, deduplicating and then exporting or importing the references in from EndNote or Zotero or Mendeley into Covidence. Does Covidence do automatic deduplicating? Like, how does it? Is it something that you have to do manually through Covidence, or does it do it automatically? And also, can you export from all databases directly into Covidence? These are all questions that I get throughout the universe.
Okay. So deduplication. So Covidence automatically deduplicates when you import studies, import files. It will deduplicate within the file you've just imported, and it will compare that with any other previous files as well. All that information will go into Prisma. If you deduplicate in your reference manager, Covidence doesn't know how many duplicates you found. So you will have to keep a record of that and then manually update the Prisma figure at a later date.
Sorry, we've just got an question. Sorry, I'll just start myself. We've got a question just come through. How does it go? How does it go with duplicate removal compared to EndNote? Sometimes EndNote gets it wrong. Example, you can't tell the difference between and, it's like the ampersand and in a journal title.
Yeah, Covidence has the same problem sometimes, especially with the and the ampersand symbol. But within Covidence, you're able to continue manual deduplication as well. So as you go through the screening process, if you find any duplicates that have slipped through the process, you can clearly mark those as being manually identified. And again, that will appear in your Prisma figure. So it's quite clear which ones came through automatic deduplication and which ones were identified manually. I've forgotten the thing. No, that's
Can you import from all databases into Covidence directly?
So most of the major databases, if they export in an EndNote XML file or as a RIS text file, you can import those files directly into Covidence, and you can import directly from PubMed as well. The nice thing about Covidence, I guess, is that if you've collected all of your references in a reference manager, you can import that file, even if it's got multiple databases in it, because Covidence allows you to identify the number of studies come from each database. So in the image on the top left there of the figure, you can see you've got multiple different databases. They could all have come in the same import file. And Covidence will allow you to say there were 6,000 references from PubMed and there were 2,250 references from Embase, and all of that automatically comes through to the Prisma figure for you. So for title and abstract screening, what you bring in is the title and the abstract. Once you've gone through that initial screening process, all the studies that get through to full text, you then need to locate PDFs in order to be able to assess that full text level.
Sorry, Julie, just because of sound in this room, Melissa just wanted to confirm, did you just say that you could go straight from PubMed into Covidence, that you don't need to go via EndNote? And also, can you do that with other databases?
So, great question. Definitely from PubMed. You can come straight from PubMed into Covidence. You just need to make sure that when you select your export file type, that you select the option that says PubMed, not one that says text. It's, I think it's like the second option down in PubMed in the file types. So make sure you select PubMed, and that file you can import directly without going through a reference manager. As I said, any other databases export with an EndNote XML or a RIS text file can also be imported directly into Covidence. If the file type is XML, you cannot import it. There'll be an error message. So generic XML files don't come in. It has to be EndNote XML. The other thing to be aware of is that some databases, I use that term loosely because I'm referring to Google Scholar, does not export abstracts. So if you're using Google Scholar and you import a file into Covidence and then you try and do screening and you realize the abstract isn't there, that's not an issue with Covidence. That's an issue with where you exported the file from. Equally so, when you're exporting from databases, make sure that you've selected the option for all fields in the file, or at least make sure that you click the citation and the abstract and the DOI, which is a digital object identifier. And the reason for making sure you've got that DOI in the kind of metadata is that when it comes to full text screening, Covidence will try and provide you with free to access PDFs automatically. And so we need the DOI to be able to locate those for you. So that's why we like to see that come in imports. So we also use active learning in screening, in title and abstract screening, and this really speeds up the screening process. So what the active learning is doing is it's looking at your voting habits and the team's screening decisions. And if you use this, you locate it in the sort option. So when you click on sort, you'll have author, Covidence ID, and one of those is relevancy. So if you click on the relevancy option in the sort column, as you start to vote, what happens is that as long as you voted, the team has voted yes and no, when you get to about 25 studies, the relevancy option by machine learning gets switched on, and it will move the studies that you are most likely to vote yes to the top of the screening list. That means that studies get moved through to full text much more quickly. And if you're working in a review team where some people will be doing title and abstract screening and some people will be doing full text screening simultaneously, that speeds up the process really quickly because those studies you're most likely to include move forward more quickly. They get voted on at full text more quickly, and then you've got your final list of studies ready for data extraction. So that's another way of really speeding up that process. We've also got, next slide. We've also got some great new features in semi-automated extraction. So we're providing you with some large language model assistance in specific sections if you're using the Extraction 1 tool. Now, Covidence has 2 different extraction tools, and all of the automation features are in Extraction 1. So I'm going to show you how that kind of works today. What the large language model does in certain sections, so in identification, it will provide you with suggestions on those key elements. So country, author's name, institution, if it can find it, email address, contact details, for example. Now, these are suggestions, so you can accept or decline them. They're not forced upon you, and you're not able to undo them. So it's very clear that these can be reviewed before you move on and save them. So that same kind of suggestion is also used in the interventions section of the extraction form as well. And what Covidence will do is it will provide you with some suggestions of what it thinks the interventions are in the PDF that you're trying to extract from. And you're able to accept or decline those suggestions as well. And by clicking on the link to suggestion, that's helping us with our forward moving process for AI extraction. So it's really important that we can map the suggestions to the interventions you've listed in your template. And what we're really busy working on at the moment is to move forward to that semi-automated results data extraction as well. So we've got a team busy in the background working on that. But that focus again is on that high accuracy to get you to the top of that mountain. So we've got multiple quality checks going on at the moment. And we hope to be able to start to release that quite soon. Especially we'll be starting with reviews that are working on pharmacological interventions. And then we'll spread that across to hopefully all types of intervention systematic reviews. So Covidence is basically we're using the highest standards that we possibly can across the whole profile of AI use in systematic reviews. We're definitely a leader in that area. And in terms of our leadership, you are always in control. We've got some great improvements in data extraction. So we spend a lot of time working on data extraction, trying to get this right for you. Data extraction is probably the hardest part of any systematic or any type of literature review you're working on. Getting it right is incredibly difficult. And I can't recommend enough that you should have a protocol in place to help you guide your systematic review, not only for the transparency steps, but also in my experience, when people are setting up their templates for data extraction, having that protocol there is such an advantage. You understand exactly what data it is that you want to capture, what your outcomes are, what your data types are, and you're just setting yourself up for success rather than struggling.
Okay.
Yes.
This is also in your profile.
Yes, so there's a question just here about whether Covidence supports qualitative data extraction, and I'll be showing you that in just a second. But yes, it absolutely does. That's one of our new features. So I will get to that very soon. So how have we improved data extraction? So a lot of our kind of time and effort has been spent on the Extraction 1 tool, which now I think is pretty good at any type of literature review, whether you're working on a systematic review, a scoping review, qualitative review. The only time I would really recommend the Extraction 2 tool is if you're working on a very complex systematic review, a review like an umbrella review, where the data kind of format is not quite standard, really. And if you're working on again, a very complex qualitative review. So the Extraction 1 tool is great if you kind of got mixed methods, but Extraction 2 is a little bit better if you're purely qualitative.
So I was actually asked about data extraction last week, Julie, and whether Covidence can work with it. So I'm aware of the Explore 1 tool. I had a look at it. Sorry, what are the major, would you, as a general rule, would you just use data extraction like the tool 1? Or when would you consider going to tool 2?
So Extraction 1 or Extraction 2. So Extraction 1 follows a very structured format. I've got a slide showing you the templates in a moment. So it follows a very structured format, but it does allow you to customize the templates and the extraction form. So I think extraction 1 is a really good tool now. As I was saying, extraction 2, I would go for on very complex systematic reviews or purely qualitative reviews at the moment.
Did you say purely qualitative?
Yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more kind of flexibility there for qualitative reviews, but you certainly can, if you're working on a mixed method systematic review, extraction 1 is absolutely perfect for you. So extraction 1 gives you some flexibility in the template setup, as I was saying, in the outcome measures and in the outcome types. The other thing that we've just done with extraction 1 is enabled a single reviewer extraction workflow. So this is really important because in some systematic review or some literature reviews, you only need one person. There's not this requirement for absolutely having to have 2 people do all of the data extraction. So now in extraction 1, you can switch from dual extractor to single extractor. There's no consensus step. Once you've finished extraction, you can simply export your data ready for analysis. I guess the other useful thing about that is if you're working on sometimes really large reviews and you're a little bit time constrained, what it means is that you could start off with single extraction going on once you're happy that everyone's doing it correctly. But you're happy with everything, you can move and do a smaller sample with 2 people.
Excuse me, Julie, I just had a question come through from Marianne. Which tool can I use if I'm doing a scoping review and using the PCC framework?
Great question. You can use extraction 1. So even though when you look at the template, it says population, I think maybe this is our next slide. Yeah, so if you go to the next slide here. So this is the template for extraction 1. As I said, it's quite structured. So you've got identification methods, population, interventions, and outcomes. If you're working on a scoping review, don't be put off by the term interventions. So the intervention section allows you to add in interventions, comparisons, concepts, phenomenon of interest, any of those kind of things. So you can definitely add in your PCC framework there. And if, for example, your scoping review is looking at, you just want to look at tools, for example, tools to measure something, you don't have to go through to the outcomes section. So you can stop at interventions. You can look at the tools that are being used in a specific context, provide all the information about those that you need in terms of where the tool's used, who uses it, for example. That's all the information you need, and you can stop there, and there's no need to progress to the outcomes if they're not relevant for your review. So because I guess the templates is really hard to get your head around, Covidence has tried to make it as simple as possible. So now it's nicely broken down into these 5 steps. When you click on them, it drops down and it provides you with a lot more information to get yourself set up. The template itself is the kind of skeleton for your data extraction form. So what you're doing here is you're putting in your wish list, I guess. So all of the interventions or all of the exposures that you could possibly want to find out about. The same with outcomes. So you list all of the possible outcomes that you want to capture in your review. And then when you're actually doing the data extraction, you're able to select the outcomes that are just reported in that PDF. So this is a little bit about the flexibility now in that template setup. So if in your review, if you're looking at a scoping review, you don't need to capture the inclusion and exclusion criteria for each individual study. you can now uncheck those boxes and they won't appear on your extraction form. So there's a lot more flexibility there. The only thing you can't do is you can't kind of delete the methods section. It stays there. But you can certainly adapt anything that you need to. The same for outcome types. So now you can add in qualitative outcomes. So you've got a drop-down list. You can put in the name of your outcome. So you might want to look at a certain type of experience of someone who's been exposed to a condition, for example. And then under the type, you're able to select whether you want to have continuous data, which might be measured on a scale, whether you want dichotomous data, which is a kind of yes-no option, or qualitative. And if you select the qualitative option in your results table, you'll have the options to fill in findings, themes, and quotes. The nice thing about Covidence is that you can even adapt it at that stage when you're taking the results data. For any outcome, you're able to add in additional outcomes, you're able to name subgroups, so on. So let's have a look at the next one. In terms of setting up your template, we've got this wizard that you're able to use that will take you through all of the steps. So you can see here, for those of you working on scoping reviews, for example, or other kinds of narrative reviews, where it says add interventions, you can just add in anything that you want there in terms of your exposures or concepts or phenomena of interest. And you can add as many as you want to. Over on the right, you can see that this is a kind of image of what the extraction form itself might look like. So once you've when you're doing the data extraction, in this example, we've got vitamin C, for example. So when I'm doing data extraction, I could select vitamin C as my intervention. But the paper I'm looking at might have vitamin C at different doses, for example. And so what you can easily do is add another column. So I can have vitamin C at a low dose, vitamin C at a high dose. It might be the route of administration for that intervention that you want to subgroup. So you could have intravenous versus oral, for example. Or if you're looking at the tools, in terms of a scoping review, for example, again, you can add in a name of a tool that you want to know more about. And for each intervention, you can add an unlimited number of columns depending on what's being reported in that individual paper. The same for the outcomes. So you can add in as many outcomes as you want. You can add a mixture of quantitative and qualitative outcomes. What Covidence is good at now is that we realize that for some outcomes, they can be reported in multiple different ways in exactly the same paper. So you can see there that we've got the example of symptoms. So symptoms could be measured quantitatively. They could be measured on a scale. They could be measured, have you got this symptom? Yes, no. Or it could be a qualitative outcome where you want to know, how did that symptom make you feel? So it allows you to kind of draw out all of the different ways of reporting the same outcome. Again, on the right, you can see that you can select an outcome and replicate that multiple times. So for this example, we've got quality of life, but quality of life could be physical or mental health, for example. And so you can use this little plus symbol that you'll see. You can add that multiple times. So under a particular outcome, you could name the specific scale. Again, you can use it to identify subgroups. So if you only wanted to look at people of a specific age, for example, and split up age groups or gender, you're able to do that. Or disease severity, for example. Again, in terms of data formats, what Covidence does is when you get to the results data table, the standard formats are mean and standard deviation and a sample size, or the number of events and the total population. But when you're actually looking at a PDF, it's not always reported like that. So you'll be looking through a PDF and you'll find it's reported as a mean and a range, not a mean and a standard deviation. They report the standard error and not the standard deviation. And so Covidence gives you a really useful drop-down list. So where the little down shape is, there's a drop-down list appears there. You're able to select from lots of different data reporting types. If the format that you want is not on the list, you can add it here, so you can customize it. So for some types of reviews, you might be looking at diagnostic test accuracy reviews. You might need to report the area under the curve or the positive predictive value. So you can add that in the custom section. So this tool is very, very customizable. So I've already gone through being able to set up multiple study outcomes. So I've discussed that one with you already. Fine. So Covidence is more than about just the platform. So the platform itself, I guess, allows you to import those references, go through the screening process, do the data extraction, and then export your data. But we go above and beyond that for you. If you're working on extraction 1 and you're trying to set up your template and you're really struggling, then we provide you with a free 30-minute one-on-one session for a review team with a consultant systematic reviewer to help you get set up for success. So as long as you've had a go and you've got a protocol, we will help you get that set up so that you can move forward and succeed with data extraction. As I said, it's the hardest part of the review and getting it right. So if you need that support, you can contact the support team at support@covidence.org. If you're using extraction 1 and you're on the template page, there's a live chat button as well. So again, if you're really struggling and you need some help, just click on the live chat and someone will respond to you and you can ask for help. We'll send you a link. As part of the kind of university package of Covidence, we provide a number of webinars every year, and your library services are able to access those for free for the whole university. Our knowledge base, so you can access the knowledge base through most of the pages on the platform. You'll see a need help button. At the top of every page of the platform, there's a little question mark. And if you click on that, you can access the knowledge base as well. And you can access it via our web page. As I said, it's kind of broken down into discrete sections. So there are sections on extraction 1. There are sections on screening, on setting up your review, on inviting co-reviewers. So it's a great resource to come to. It also provides you with any of our upcoming webinars as well, or recent webinars. So last week we had a webinar on extraction 1, and you can access the recording for that as my colleague takes you through all of the in-depth steps of setting up your template. You also have access to Covidence Academy. So you can access this via the web page as well, the Covidence web page. It goes a little bit above and beyond just the platform. So there are sections where there are short YouTube videos for you to be able to find out more about the processes in the platform. But there's some additional information there around understanding what systematic reviews are, understanding those horrible things like inter-rater reliability that you might need to know about for exam.
Excuse me, Julie, we have a question here. Does Covidence still have the separate quality assessment tool?
Yes, so there's a question about quality assessment. So Covidence, when you're in the data extraction section, you can also set up a quality assessment tool. The default is for the Cochrane Risk of Bias 1 tool. If you want to use multiple tools, for example, you're better off setting that up in the Extraction 2 tool. So you can do all of your extraction in Extraction 1, and then you could do more complex quality assessment in Extraction 2. And you can easily, or quality assessment 2, you can easily swap between the two tools and you won't lose any data that you've got there. We've also got a fantastic ebook series as well. So at the moment, we've got ebooks for intervention systematic reviews, for protocol development, for screening and data extraction. These are agnostic ebooks, so they're not telling you how to do it in Covidence, but they're a great resource. So it's all about what is a protocol, how do I set it up, what are the key reporting guidelines. There are tips and templates in these ebooks as well.
Excuse me, Julie, where do people access them from?
Yep, so you can access that directly from the website. So if you go to the Covidence website and under resources and downloads and ebook, you'll be able to find them there. They're free to download and you can share them with whoever you wish to.
Thank you.
In fact, so you can download them individually or there's an ebook bundle, which is a new feature as well. We're also busy working on a very similar series for scoping reviews as well. So watch this space as we develop the protocol development for scoping reviews ebook, which will be released later this year. So if you need to contact us, support@covidence.org. And I said, anywhere on the platform itself, click on the need help and you can directly email us there as well. You've got the website, which is www.covidence.org, and our knowledge base. Any other question? Yes. Yeah, so that's a great question. So the question was around where Covidence has been used to automatically provide suggestions in data extraction. Do you need to acknowledge that in a publication? And the answer is yes. The reporting guidelines quite clear that if you've used any automation tools, you need to acknowledge where and how they've been used. It's a really important and a very good question. In fact, for people working on Cochrane systematic reviews, our automation suggestions are not available. So if you are working on Cochrane review, you won't see those automated suggestions appear because Cochrane is still trying to get its framework for AI in place. So don't be surprised if you don't see those if you're working just yet. Any other questions coming, Maureen?
When at data extraction stage, how does Covidence access full text from DOI if articles are not free access?
Very good question. So PDFs that aren't free access, so that's entirely up to the review team. And you should have identified all of your PDFs during the full text screening stage. Those PDFs that are free to access, Covidence will try and provide them for you. And it'd be quite clear that Covidence has uploaded those. So whoever does the uploading gets their name appears next to the PDF. For transparency purposes, so you know the source if you're in a team from multiple different universities, okay? So you know that that particular PDF was accessed from the University of Auckland and not from this university.
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
Has the reporting function changed at all?
The reporting function.
Yeah. So that's obviously not the correct language.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
If you could ask Louise just to confirm what she meant, perhaps if she wants to unmute herself and ask.
Yeah. So Louise, I wonder if you could just confirm what you mean by reporting status.
So the export function.
Sorry, say it again.
Export function.
Export. Oh, export function. So the export function has changed to allow you to export as a single reviewer. If you're working on extraction 1, you can export as a CSV file in an Excel file and straight to Roman Web, whether you're using that for a Cochrane review or any other review. If you're working on extraction 2, you will just see the export for CSV files. But other than that, there's been no change.
That looks like it's the end of Julie's presentation. If we could have any last minute questions, we can give you the rest of your day back. If you've got any questions, please feel free to unmute or post to the chat. And also, anyone in the room, do you have questions?
So great also.
Sorry.
Sorry, so free to access, that doesn't mean open access. It's that way. For instance, university has subscribes to a journal, has access that we can get. That should be a work.
Okay, so in that case, it's open access. You can use this university have the key. Sorry, do you have the key? No. Okay. So yeah, Covidence will provide open access PDFs, automatically uploaded.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's entirely up to the review team to locate the PDFs and bring them in.
Right.
Yeah. So Covidence has a number of different ways you can bring PDFs in. If you've just got 1 or 2, you can simply use a drag and drop feature. So take the PDF, drag it on top of the reference, drop it, and it'll upload. If you've got a bulk upload, so you've gone away, you found 50 PDFs in your reference manager, you can use the bulk upload full text feature, which is on the full text screening page. You follow a couple of steps there and you can bring in all 50 PDFs in a couple of clicks and it'll link them all to the correct reference. So there's no that you don't have, if you've got 300 references for full text screening, you don't have to manually drag and drop 300 PDFs. So you can bring them all in. If you find that when you're doing that upload feature, it kind of gets stuck and it's only brought over, say, 20 out of the 50 you asked for, it's usually due to a file size limit. So it means you might have PDFs with complex figures or images in. So all you have to do is drag and drop your PDF folder a couple of times and they'll all be linked in.
I just wonder if we have some papers with non-English, so can we go for a good confidence?
With what kind of papers? Non-English language. So it will bring those PDFs over for you. It won't translate them, but you can upload PDFs in any language at all.
Are there different language settings within Covidence anyway? So, for example, if you prefer to, well, you can speak a little English, but you prefer Chinese. So
yeah, people use whatever their keyboard language is the language that appears when they write anything in Covidence. So if you're writing the eligibility criteria and you're writing it in Chinese, for example, if that's the language on your keyboard, that's the language that will appear. So you can name your systematic review or your literature review in any language that people use.
This is a very random question, but inspired by what you just said. If you're working with PICLA in an international team, and say, for example, you've got someone from WSU, and then keyboard, it's like English, but they're working with a Chinese colleague, say overseas,
Yeah.
and their keyboard is Chinese. How does Covidence manage that, like for international research teams?
I think you have to decide on a language that's going to be using as a
Okay.
team.
As a team. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you.
So I think if the team was all based in China, that would be the language that keyboards would be using, and then they all be happy to use that. In mixed teams, you need to decide on a language.
Thank you, because I get really random questions like that. So thank you for answering.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Really appreciate it. And do contact us. I'm in New Zealand, so if you do contact Covidence, it'll probably be a response from me, but you get.
Excellent.
Look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone online.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next training.